can't stop cheating, and I don't want to. I used to think my life was perfect. A glossy magazine spread come to life. A beautiful house in Palo Alto, a handsome, successful husband, a killer career. Mark was the embodiment of reliability. Solid, dependable, loving. A software engineer who spoke in algorithms and loved me with a quiet, unwavering intensity. For 7 years, it was bliss, or so I told myself. The truth? Bliss had morphed into beige. A comfortable, predictable routine that felt less like a partnership and more like a carefully curated prison. Mark was a rock, but I was an ocean, and the rock was starting to feel stagnant. Then came the Tech Forward Summit in San Francisco. A sea of suits, the hum of ambition, the overpriced cocktails, and then Liam Walker, head of marketing at Omnicorp, our biggest competitor, young, sharp, with a predatory glint in his eyes that sent a jolt of electricity through me. He was the antithesis of Mark. All flash and fire, a dangerous, intoxicating cocktail. We met at the after-party, a rooftop affair overlooking the glittering city. He complimented my dress, a daring crimson number I'd bought on a whim, a rebellion against my usual muted tones. He asked about my work, then about my passions, really seeing me in a way Mark hadn't in years. Or maybe I just hadn't let Mark. Maybe I'd become too good at playing the perfect wife, burying my desires beneath a veneer of contentment. One drink led to another, then to a shared cab, then to a lingering goodbye outside my hotel. His hand brushed my cheek, and the spark ignited. It was impulsive, reckless, a moment of madness fueled by cheap champagne and a desperate need to feel something other than bored. The next morning, the guilt was a thick, suffocating blanket. I stared at my reflection, disgusted and exhilarated. I was Anya Petrova, the senior marketing manager, the perfect wife. And I was also a cheat. I told myself it was a mistake, a one-time lapse in judgment. I deleted his number, vowing to forget it ever happened. But I couldn't. The memory of his touch, the intensity of his gaze, the sheer thrill of the transgression, it haunted me. I found myself replaying the night in my head, savoring the forbidden pleasure. A week later, I accidentally bumped into him at a coffee shop near his office. We talked for an hour, the air crackling with unspoken desires. He didn't apologize, didn't try to excuse his behavior. He simply looked at me with that knowing glint and said, "I knew I'd see you again." And that was it. The dam broke. The affair started slowly, clandestine lunches, stolen kisses in parking garages. But it quickly escalated. I became addicted to the thrill of the chase, the adrenaline rush of deception. I reveled in the feeling of being desired, of being seen as something other than Mark's wife. I started lying to Mark with ease, fabricating excuses for late nights at the office, business trips that never existed. I became a master of manipulation, weaving a web of deceit that grew more elaborate with each passing day. Chloe, my best friend since college, noticed the change. "You seem different, Anya. More on edge." "Just stressed with work," I'd brush her off, offering a practiced smile. "Are you sure? You seem distracted, and you're working insane hours." Chloe's concern was genuine, but it irritated me. I didn't want her judgment, her pity. I wanted her to admire me, to envy my newfound freedom. My professional life mirrored my personal one, a carefully constructed facade masking a growing chaos. I started using company resources to facilitate my rendezvous with Liam, expensing lavish dinners and luxurious hotel rooms under the guise of client entertainment. Sarah Jenkins, the HR manager, was a stickler for detail. She started asking questions about my expense reports, her tone polite but probing. I deflected, offering plausible explanations, but the pressure was mounting. Mark, bless his oblivious heart, just wanted to spend more time with me. He planned romantic dinners, weekend getaways. But I found myself pushing him away, repulsed by his unwavering devotion. His love felt like a prison, a constant reminder of my betrayal. "I'm just really busy, honey," I'd say, avoiding his gaze. "Maybe next weekend." But there was always another excuse, another lie. I was slowly dismantling our life together, brick by deceitful brick. Liam, meanwhile, was becoming increasingly demanding. He wanted more of my time, more of my attention. He started hinting at leaving his own girlfriend, painting a picture of a future together. A future I knew was a fantasy. One night, after a particularly intense encounter, he told me about a new project Omnicorp was launching, a game-changing marketing campaign that could revolutionize the industry. He needed someone with my expertise. Someone who understood the market. Imagine what we could do together, Anya, he whispered, his eyes gleaming with ambition. We could be unstoppable. The implication was clear. He wanted me to leave my job, to join him at Omnicorp. The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. It would mean blowing up my entire life, burning all my bridges. But it would also mean complete freedom, a chance to reinvent myself, to finally escape the suffocating predictability of my existence. Then, I found something on Liam's phone when he left it unlocked in my apartment. Messages with another woman, a series of flirtatious and intimate texts that made my stomach churn. He was playing me, using me, just like I was using Mark. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. I wasn't special. I wasn't unique. I was just another conquest, another pawn in his game. That night, I went home and stared at Mark as he slept. His face was peaceful, his brow unfurrowed. He looked so innocent, so trusting, and I felt like the lowest form of life. The guilt became unbearable. I couldn't continue living this lie. The implosion was swift and brutal. It started with Mark finding an email on my laptop, a draft of a love letter to Liam that I had forgotten to delete. He confronted me, his voice trembling with disbelief and pain. "What is this, Anya?" he asked, his eyes filled with a hurt I had never seen before. I tried to deny it, to lie my way out of it, but the words wouldn't come. The truth was etched on my face, undeniable. I confessed everything. The affair, the lies, the stolen moments. I spared him no details, laying bare the ugliness of my betrayal. He listened in silence, his face hardening with each word. When I was finished, he simply said, "Get out." I packed a bag and left, the echo of his words ringing in my ears. I felt numb, detached, as if I were watching my life fall apart from a distance. The professional fallout was equally devastating. Sarah Jenkins had been building a case against me, meticulously documenting my fraudulent expense reports. The company launched an internal investigation, and I was suspended pending further review. Detective Reed from the fraud unit arrived at my door the next day. The questions were relentless, his gaze piercing. I tried to cooperate, to minimize the damage, but the truth was damning. I had abused my position, betrayed the trust of my employer. Liam, predictably, denied everything. He claimed our relationship was purely professional, that any expenses I had incurred were legitimate business expenses. He threw me under the bus without a second thought, his ambition outweighing any sense of loyalty. I was alone, adrift in a sea of my own making. My friends distanced themselves, unable to condone my actions. My parents were ashamed, their disappointment palpable. Mark filed for divorce. He didn't want to see me, didn't want to talk to me. He just wanted me out of his life. The investigation dragged on for months. I was eventually fired from my job, my reputation ruined. The police found enough evidence to charge me with fraud, a criminal record that would haunt me for years to come. I lost everything. My husband, my career, my friends, my respect. I was a pariah, a cautionary tale. In the aftermath, I started seeing a therapist. We explored my motivations, my insecurities, my insatiable need for validation. I learned that my cheating wasn't about sex or love, but about control, about filling a void within myself. I tried to apologize to Mark, to explain my actions, but he wouldn't listen. The pain I had caused him was too deep, the betrayal too profound. I eventually moved out of Palo Alto to a small apartment in a less affluent part of the city. I took a job as a marketing assistant at a small, local nonprofit. It was a far cry from my former life, but it was a start. Years passed. I rebuilt my life, piece by painstaking piece. I learned to forgive myself, to accept the consequences of my actions. I made amends to those I had hurt as much as I could. One evening, I found myself at a bar called the Velvet Curtain. I hadn't been to a bar in years. The velvet seats, the dim lights, the murmur of voices, the clinking glasses, it was all so familiar. I ordered a glass of wine and sat alone, watching the people around me. A handsome stranger caught my eye. He smiled, a genuine, friendly smile. I smiled back. He approached me, offering a simple, "Hello." "Hello," I replied, my heart beating a little faster. We talked for hours about our lives, our dreams, our fears. He was kind, intelligent, and genuinely interested in getting to know me. As the night drew to a close, he asked if he could see me again. "I'd like that," I said, feeling a flicker of hope. As I walked out of the bar that night, I couldn't help but wonder if I was capable of change. Had I truly learned from my mistakes, or was I destined to repeat them? I turned back to look at the bar window. The handsome stranger was there, looking back at me. He smiled. I returned it. I saw the bartender give me a look, a knowing one. And in that moment, I knew I was still Anya Petrova, the woman who craved excitement, who thrived on chaos. I was a flawed, complicated human being, capable of both great love and great destruction. Whether I would choose love or destruction this time was the question. I still didn't know the answer. The smile widened a little more, as if something was pulling at it, like a marionette.